Hello, this is Ronnie, and this is part two of the video about money and the raw vegan diet and my attitude towards money changing and things like that. So, just to get this camera right. In the first part of the video, I think I was talking, this part one, I was talking about how I I never really thought or put much focus on money before, and didn't really think about all the things that people were doing online, and uh, didn't see all the connections financially between everything and whatever else. It just wasn't a big part of my thought process or consciousness, whatever. So, um, as I was saying, that started to change when I ran the first festival, and there was a point where it was gonna look like it was gonna lose a lot of money in the first year, and it was an amount of money that was not too far off how much I earned in an entire year, right? So it wasn't a good position to be in, and what happened was I started to think, right, how do I make money? That was the first time that I started to think about making a lot of money or how do I make money and all that stuff. And so I started to just look online and literally started to type that in. And you only do that if you're desperate. So, like I was saying, like there's all these scams out there, financial scams and different things that are about making money quick. And you would think, why would anyone ever fall for that? Well, no one would fall for it in their right mind. Like no one who isn't in debt or something is going to fall for that. But someone that's like desperate for money, and you imagine someone praying to God, they need some money, and then all of a sudden they see an advert that's like make money quick, or they get an email through one of those scam emails like I'm a Nigerian prince or something. But if that hits the right person in the right moment, who's vulnerable and is scared and whatever, they could potentially respond to that, right? Um, so I started to look around at that, and and that was my idea. It was like, well, if I make money somehow, I'll be able to cover the festival, and make it still work. And what was weird was, as I was saying in the earlier video, why did I not just think, right, how do I get more people? I almost thought it was like impossible to get more people to come. I just thought like we'd done everything we could almost. I guess I felt like that almost, but we really hadn't anywhere near done as much as we could. So, but I had no experience in entrepreneurship. I didn't really realize that's what I was doing. I've never been an entrepreneurial person. I never sold things. You hear about these entrepreneurial people that they were 10 years old and they were selling stuff at school. I would have never done that. I would have been too scared to do that probably, and would have thought that I would have probably got robbed or something. So I wouldn't have done I wouldn't have done stuff like that. And I didn't really understand it either, and I didn't really understand why people would do that kind of thing. So I wasn't entrepreneurial like that. Didn't have any experience in sales. That kind of thing I'd completely stayed away from. Anything to do with sales and all that stuff. And what you tend to find is most people are very uncomfortable with the idea of sales and stay away from it. And most people think that marketing and advertising is very kind of scammy and um, you know manipulative and things like that, and they stay away from that as well, and they don't understand it as well, and when it comes to kind of entrepreneurship and stuff like that, I think people maybe think that that's not. I think people think there's a lot of barriers to it, like, oh well, um, like I heard this story about a friend of mine who someone he knew was started to sell bubble wrap on eBay. I don't know when this was, but they would buy a massive roll of bubble wrap, and then they would cut it down into smaller sections and sell it on eBay. And it absolutely took off for whatever reason. And they made like £10,000 in 1 month selling bubble wrap. But they stopped doing it because they were scared that they were doing something wrong. And that's the kind of thing that a lot of people hold themselves back because they're scared there's something wrong about it. Like like this is a bad thing, or this isn't right, or I'm meant to be paying some kind of tax, or the government's going to get you, or someone's going to get you, or eBay's going to stop you, or whatever. In reality, you bought something and you're selling it on. There's nothing illegal about that as long as it's not like in drugs or something. So a lot of people are scared about these things and hold themselves back and all that. So I guess I was maybe in that position a little bit, but when I started the festival, I didn't think of it like a business kind of thing. Um, I thought it was like different to that. I thought this was a something really good, you know. I thought this was good, and other businesses are like just trying to make money, but we're trying to do something really good and pure and wholesome, and people will recognize that, and everyone will support it, and people will come along, and that was a big mistake, right? And a lot of these things have shaped my attitude towards money as well, because in reality, if you're offering something for money, it doesn't matter what your intentions are. Everyone else sees it with the same eyeball and the same vision as they see other businesses. Here's someone trying to get my money, you know. Here's someone that wants me to pay for something, you know. So they don't see it as, oh great, I'm a raw vegan, and I've been raw vegan, and I have no other friends here, and you know, I want to learn more about it, and I want to meet more people doing it, and I want that sense of community. So this is fantastic that someone's put this on. You know, it's actually the opposite. It's almost like you immediately start getting questions uh, like, is this a non-profit? Is this something? Is this what's people like ask a lot of questions, and it's all kind of irrelevant stuff. But a lot of people start asking questions. They're not really interested in coming to the event, but they're just jealous a little bit, or for whatever reason they see it as a bad thing in some way or whatever. But that, I mean, that's not really relevant to the conversation about money. But I'm just saying that when you offer something for money, it immediately changes the way that people look at it, or look at the thing, or whatever else. So, and it changes people's attitude towards you in terms of other people around you. And it's a kind of a very weird experience, right? And what you realize in those situations is that, like, when you learn more about it, the vast majority of people doing any kind of business or anything are not going to make any money, and a lot are going to lose money, and they're going to put a tremendous amount of time, effort. Um, they're probably often doing it out of passion, not really trying to make money, not understanding fully how to do that or understanding that. They probably don't know the amount of work involved. They might be unprepared to do certain things to actually make it function as a business, and therefore it won't work and it'll fail, and yet people will still view entrepreneurial people and things like that like very skeptically, and like, what's the scam here? What's the, you know, they're very, they don't see it as this person's providing a service and something, and all I have to do is pay some money for it to get access to it. They often see it in a different way, right? So there's all that kind of stuff, and a lot of the most vocal people are the people that are the most negative about things, and all that kind of stuff. So there's all sorts of things to it, but I go back to the fact that I was thinking more consciously now about how do I make money, and I started to come across stuff that I'd kind of seen before, because I remembered back to watching things like The Law of Attraction and The Secret, and all these people being like, you know, here's what you do if you want to make lots of money and all this. And it was all about thinking and changing your mindset and attracting money. So I started watching some of this stuff thinking something's going to happen here. And I was legitimately doing stuff in that moment. I was legitimately doing stuff like, I saw some video where a guy was talking about doing sigils, like magic sigils, and I did some kind of sigil, and I made this, and I don't know if I was praying to it or whatever it was to try and attract money or whatever, or visualizing or whatever. Um, Started watching a video. There's a video with a guy called Bob Proctor, who's like a big law of attraction, one of the guys in The Secret, and he had a thing called How to Make a Million or something. And I was watching that video over and over and over. I watched it a lot, and it kind of made a little bit of sense, I guess, but he wasn't very specific in that video. Looking back, I understand what it was now, um, but now I just saw it, and Bob Proctor. I understand what Bob Proctor is, but I just saw it then as like, okay, this is information and this is a lecture, and 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 now I see it a little bit differently. But it was, to some extent, it was good information, and I started to look at this law of attraction thing and attracting money and all these ideas, right? And I was doing stuff, because I was in a crazy position. I didn't realize how much of a risk I'd taken and how much money I would lose. So you get into a real emotionally different place, and pressure and stress and all that. And I was working a full time job at the same time and doing other things in my life, so there was a lot of things going on, and uh, so it gives you that desperation to go and try and that you have to make a change. You have to change and do other things, and you have to go beyond your own restrictions. And I went to like a lady who was a not a fortune teller but like a psychic that I knew, and she was doing this class, and I was asking questions, like she was channeling a spirit, and I was asking the spirit about it all, and the spirit was kind of giving these answers and whatever. And I could understand why like rich and famous people go to like tarot card readers, and because they're maybe sometimes they're under so much pressure or stress, they're looking for any kind of answer or any kind of edge, and no one can really give them an answer, you know. So I could understand that. And then I came across a video, and it was called Wealth Attraction for Entrepreneurs, and it's still on YouTube. It's called Wealth Attraction for Entrepreneurs, and I thought, here's another law of attraction thing, and I've never seen this guy. So you know what it's like when you get into a new subject, you want to watch everyone or you want to read all the books or whatever. So this was a guy called Dan Kennedy, Wealth Attraction for Entrepreneurs, and it's actually a seminar that this guy did. If you want to pay for it online, I didn't realize this till later on, but it's on his website, and it's like over $1,000 to buy it, right, as a video package or DVD package or something. But I was just watching it on YouTube, and uh, it was it must be about 6 hours long, and I've watched the whole thing a number of times. And the difference with Dan Kennedy is his pitch or his presentation goes along the lines of, um, you know, there's all these guys that are telling you about law of attraction, but and there is a way of attracting wealth, but it's not through just thinking about it, and that's part of it. But you have to have all these other principles in place, and you have to understand all these, you know, rational, predictable, kind of strategic things that you have to do. So I was watching this video, and he was saying things that I really didn't like. And if you watch that video, you will not like it most likely, unless you're an entrepreneurial person or a salesperson or something like that. But if you aren't into any of that stuff, you will probably not like that video, and you might turn it off pretty quickly, and you won't like a lot of the things he has to say, about money, about different things. I'm trying to think about specific things that he was talking about, but some of the things are things like obviously he's quite right. His politics would be quite right wing conservative, and that kind of comes up sometimes in what he's saying, and he'll say things like an employee comes every year for a raise. They don't deserve a raise. They're not doing anything different. They've not changed anything they've done. You know, they are paid in relation to the value of their work. They're not paid because they've just spent an extra year. They're not going to be paid more because they've spent an extra year. And, you know, a CEO, and he also says stuff like, your job as an employee is not to make jobs for people. That's not your job. Your job isn't, you don't have a responsibility to make jobs for people. And, you know, there's a lot of maybe things that people wouldn't like to hear. He talked about charity, about giving money away, and how this was like a very strategic thing for rich people. Like, this wasn't just something they were doing out of the goodness of their heart. So he talks about all this kind of stuff. But he's talking to a room full of entrepreneurs. But that was really the first thing that started to click in my mind. Like, this isn't just, it's trying to make money isn't just a random thing. Like, it's not just um, it's not a random, unpredictable, lucky thing. That there is some science to it, almost predictability. There is strategy or whatever. And I started to research more of his information, and he mentioned a guy called Gary Halbert, and I started reading Gary Halbert, and what they had in common is that they were they're copywriters, but they're what's called direct response copywriters, and they work in a field called direct response marketing. And so I started to understand, okay, it's marketing, like part of this is understanding marketing. And then later on, I started to realize it's understanding marketing, understanding sales, understanding the psychology of why people buy things, understanding the psychology of the psychology around everything, really, the psychology of people. And you realize how hard it is to actually make anyone make any kind of decision. So I went down that road in that process and started to make changes to what I was doing. And the second year the Fruit Festival did a lot better because I changed things I was doing a little bit and learned from some of these guys and continued to learn and learn and learn. And I still don't know like anywhere near as much as I should or whatever, but I've learned a lot more. And it's changed all my attitude towards money and everything else. Um, Putting on the festivals really changed my attitude towards the world and everything. But it's made me understand the raw food as a business as well a little bit, and how that's all worked, and how essentially there's a lot of guys that have went out there promoting raw food. They've got this passion for it. They want to help people get healthy, and then they realize they go broke doing it. Like they can't make any money doing that, putting on talks and things like that. They're maybe just don't know how to do it. They're not good enough to do it, or whatever it was. So they find that it's easier to like sell herbs, sell vitamins, sell supplements, and then they start doing that. That becomes so now their talk becomes, yeah, they want to convince people to get healthy still, but they need to pay the bills. So they realize that it's all about it becomes a sales pitch for supplements, and that's what a lot of natural health, naturopath, doctors, people that have doctor in front of their name, they're not necessarily really doctors, but whatever. They've got some letters behind their name. It doesn't really mean anything. Whatever, like they're selling supplements and things like that. And I'm probably going to need a part 3 for this video because I'm running out of time right now. So, yeah, so I started to realize I'm looking now at natural health as a movement, as a business, and basically wherever there is emotional appeal for things and a real human desire for things, someone will create a business to supply that demand. And if you believe that fruits and vegetables are deficient, someone will create something. If there's enough people that believe that, then someone will create the supplements for it, and someone will sell it, and someone will make money from it, and then that'll propagate that to keep going and keep going and keep going. And it's interesting when you look at fruit and vegetables. Fruit and vegetables are a commodity. That's why they don't really get advertised. You don't advertise, like people don't really advertise wheat or something like that, or whatever. They don't advertise coffee beans. It's brands of coffee that get advertised. But there isn't really fruit. I mean, there is kind of fruit brands, but no one. If you see Dole bananas and some other bananas, you just buy whatever's there. You don't really think about it. So there's a lot of interesting things. I'll make a third part to this video because I've not said everything, but I hope you got something out of this. And I'll see you in the next video, and I'll try and